So this is a divine flow moment. And I'm bringing it up because, you know, a lot of people, we are looking for God to really do some things in our lives and in our spirits and, in a lot of different areas. And God has actually spoken things to us. He's directed us in certain ways. And then we have these moments where it seems like there's no instruction. There's nothing else going on. So we kind of start to panic, and then it's easy for us to think that, okay, we must be doing something wrong. So I want to just bring up the difference in swimming versus floating when we're talking about living in the divine flow. You're living in God's process. So the difference between swimming and floating. So years ago, the Lord had said, when he gave us this divine flow concept and commission, he's like, you're going to teach people how to swim. So, okay. So, but there is a distinct difference in the floating and the swimming. Now, divine flow is all about allowing God's current to take you into the place where you thrive, where you were meant to thrive the most. So, swimming versus floating. Swimming essentially just involves control. It involves controlling yourself in a specific environment. When you swim, you direct where you want to go. Floating, on the other hand, is a decision to let the force and the presence of the water guide you along its current. So that's really critical to understand as you kind of, grab hold of the divine flow and what does it really mean? What does it look like for your own life? While both are deliberate and intentional decisions involving a specific action, floating, or the divine flow, positions you in the conditioned practice of trusting God's choices for your life. Floating, it positions you and it conditions you in the practice of trusting God. Now, it should be obvious why we should trust God, because if you believe God exists, then you believe that God is all powerful, that God knows exactly what is needed for every aspect of your life, so that should be an easy choice. But for some reason, we don't think that that's the case. We always wind up dropping the ball because, we think that there's something that we have to do, in order to really move God. So it's only through the false feelings of being left behind that we distance ourselves from this divine flow strategically orchestrated by God himself. So with false feelings of being left behind or lack or whatever the case may be, we start to navigate ourselves off of God's journey or God's process for us, or the current that God has specifically designed for us. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta get clear on that and what that actually looks like. So when you find yourself wondering why things aren't moving the way you think they should be, remember that the concept of flotation was created to help you minimize the force required from needing to be your own source. Flotation or floating is there because God doesn't want you in the way. He doesn't need you forcing anything. He doesn't need you trying to figure out where we're going, because when we do that, again, you kick yourself off the current or off of the specific flow. We are always going to be moving in some sort of action, but that action can have a sense of ease when we allow God's direction to be the sail that moves us instead of the paddle that strains us. Remember, man, I know you guys can see, when you're rowing a boat, it takes effort, it takes action, it takes navigation. But God is like, no, I'm all of that for you. All I need you to do is trust me. Trust the process. Trust when you don't hear me, when you think you don't hear me, there's something working itself out for you. And when I need you to know something, I'll tell you. So just because you don't hear anything, it doesn't mean that you're not hearing anything. So I pray it makes sense, people. Just wanted to stop in and remind you about this flow and how critical it is for you to be on it, because, we all need to be on it in our own specific reasons, whatever God is doing in you and through you. You've got to be on this current. So, Pastor Jamal, Rising Ground Church.